Happy Thursday afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. Today, I have the good fortune of interviewing my friend Lynn. How are you doing today, Lynn?
Could be better, but just pushing through.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Some of you may have seen, I did an interview with Lynn on my good friend Jesse's channel, Miley Girl. Um, for those of you who haven't seen the interview, I'm going to have Lynn kind of give a little um, backstory on her jujitsu and her journey, and then we'll continue on from there. So, Lynn, why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little lead
Sure.
into the story?
My name is Lin Murao. I started training jujitsu at the age of 48. Um, I got into jujitsu because basically in my earlier years, I was into a lot of martial arts. And then when it came time to settle down, get married, have my family, my first priority was taking care of my three sons and, no time for myself. So the weight piled on. So as they all grown and left the house, empty nest, I needed to find something to do, and we moved to Waipio Gentry, and I just so happened to be walking around the neighborhood trying to exercise and burn some of the fat that I got after all those years and being mommy. And I found something that said jujitsu, and I was like, "What is that?" And it said martial arts. So I was like, "Okay, I got to go home and Google that and see what's up with jujitsu." So I went home, I Googled it, and I was like, "Hey, this is something I can handle." I'm too old to do judo, too old to do karate, can't do Muay Thai. So next best thing is on the ground, try to grapple. And I said, I could probably do that. I'm pretty strong. So, in being heavyweight, I probably could do some damage if I could, if I can. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to chance it. And so I walked in, and the professor walked up to me and said, "Oh, are you interested in jiu-jitsu?" I said, "Well, to be honest, I had no clue what it was until I Googled it. But yeah, I think I can handle this." And I said, "I'm 48 though, so where would I start?" And first I started in the women's class on a Saturday, but I don't know, that was just not for me. I grew up with three brothers. I'm a tomboy and I had three sons, so being kind of foo-foo was not my style. So I thought to myself, I needed to get a good workout and, kind of get with the guys. I felt comfortable with guys. I had all guy friends growing up in school too. So, I asked him if I could go into the men's class, and he said, "Oh, sure, um, start in the men's class. If I feel it's too much, then I can go back." And so started in the men's class. It was 30 and under, and boy, I just loved it. That was what I wanted. I wanted the no give me chance, just cause I old lady, go hard on me so I can know what I'm doing with myself. Don't give me that baby stuff. I need to learn how to really, do this art. And so from there, I had two mentors, two brothers mentored me, and they were like, they took me under their wings and they taught me so much, and I'm so grateful. And also another professor there, he's a sweetheart to me too. He even came to my black belt ceremony at a different academy, which all my OGs came, which was the best part of my ever life. Honestly, it was like such a moment for me to remember. And so anyway, in 2019, I was diagnosed with chronic lymphatic leukemia, and it was said to me that was incurable. So, it hit me really hard. I'm a strong person, but I think that really kind of took me out. And, telling my family was the hardest part. My husband, my sons. I am caregiver for my husband. He has early dementia, and you know, I didn't want to tell my family because I knew it would like take break their hearts, but I needed to get some kind of support, but I just didn't know if they could handle the news. So, after telling them the news and battling it strong and going in with it with a strong faith in God, and showing them that I'm good, I'm good. I think it really helped them to transition not being so worried about me. Hey, my mom, she's tough. She can handle. She looks good. And I try to be strong for my husband as well because him being sick, I don't want him to see me sick. When I'm sick, I feel bad. I just gotta suck it up and just be strong. So, basically, that's what I've been doing so far. This year, my cancer got aggressive, so I needed to start treatments right away. And, it was hard to tell him that, but, you know, he's very supportive, but he's also a worrywart. And giving him too much information is not good for him. So I just tell him the basic, and I let him know that, I'm good. The treatments, they're 7-hour treatments. They're grueling, but, I come home with a smile on my face and he's like, oh, gee, the treatments must be nothing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. But actually inside I'm killing over, and a few days after I'm sick as a dog. But, life goes on. And for me, I have to be strong for the people around me, not only for myself, for my sanity, but for the people around me as well. But basically, that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, that's a lot of that's a lot to bear. Yeah, caregiver, you're dealing with your own health issues. I think you mentioned that in the last interview, like some your mom is kind of going through some later stages of life issues too.
In
So
fact, her dementia got
um,
worse, so
that's a
it's
lot.
been kind of rough there too.
Yeah, that's so difficult. To segue into the jujitsu aspect, right? So, how do you feel jujitsu kind of has helped you or saved you through these challenges, right? Has it, helped you with mindset, support group, all of the above?
So basically, at first, jujitsu helped me when I was an empty nester, feeling depressed that my kids were all gone, and so that kind of filled the void there. And then, getting more into it and losing the weight really gave me more of a incentive to continue training. And then I kind of just got so passionate about it and made it a goal in my life to go all the way and complete it. And then when I got diagnosed with the cancer, it was really rough because it took me off the mat for 3 years. And, I wasn't sure if I could go back. But, I told myself, I either going to die trying and going back and doing what I really love that makes me feel good, because honestly the best time of my life and how I feel really healthy and strong is when I am on the mat training, you know. And if I'm away from the mat, I get things come to your head, you get sad, you get depressed, then I don't want that to happen because I try to keep a strong mindset in everything I do. And I don't want that to start deteriorating because staying off the mat and not being able to socialize with my teammates, who's been so wonderful and so supportive through my journey with cancer. It's so amazing the people that I've met, and the family that I am now in with Roots is my now family. And, I've never been so happy and so complete. And being there just makes me feel like there's nothing wrong with me. And when I'm done training, I may not train hard like I did before because of my port, and because I get tired fast, but just being on the mat with everybody and just, talking story after and just getting that part that I need to fulfill me, it just, makes me feel so good, even if I don't train hard, but I go home and I feel satisfied that I was there, I was a part of it, I put in the time, I made an effort, even if I'm sick, it makes me feel better. That's my medicine. So I gotta go. So it gives me my medicine so I feel good about myself and I feel healthy.
A lot of the interviews I do, people talk about, how a big part of jujitsu is community, right? The people that you meet, the friendships that you build, um, just like you said, the support that people give you. I mean, I have friends through jujitsu that probably are more important. I'm saying more important to me than people that I've known longer. But the relationships and friendships that we build through jujitsu is hard to describe. Yeah, it's something that's so valuable. So talk about your friendships that you built through jujitsu.
So the first academy I was at, I built so much, you know, friendships, lifelong friendships actually, because like I said, even if I'm not a part of that academy anymore, I still have that lifelong friendship with the same people from that academy. I don't think that no matter where I train, we'll always love each other and always care about each other. The main thing we want each other to have is that mat time. Be on the mat. No matter where you're at, just be on the mat. So you get that fulfillment. And I think they're supportive to me no matter where I go. And they showed that to me when, like I said, when I got my black belt. I was so surprised that half of my OGs were there to see me get my black belt. And that really hit me hard because, I left the academy for my own reasons. And, I didn't think that they would have come to see this moment, but man, just seeing them there, like I really broke it. I broke down, honestly. I had to cry because I was like so overwhelmed with joy seeing them to receive my black belt. Something that I worked so hard for 15 years to accomplish through all the battles and challenges. And I have lifelong friendships with them, and now I have new lifelong friendships with the academy that I'm at. I was welcomed the first day I stepped on the mat. I've never felt that welcomed in my life by that many people, and just the love and the respect that they gave me was just overwhelming for me. And I'm just so blessed to have my old academy and my new academy, you know, come together as one big family for me.
We talked about it some in the first interview about the culture, the vibe, the feeling you get when you go to Roots. Yeah, that Coach Joey, Professor Joey has built there. Yeah, with that true feeling of aloha, and you don't feel like an outsider. Yeah, even if you're a
Right.
visitor or a guest, you just feel like you're just one. So I can only imagine when you are a member there, or you train there. That's your
Mhm.
academy. I can only imagine what it must feel like when you're over there. Yeah, you know, I I don't know how, I was kind of thinking about this, right? How does a school or academy build their culture, right? How do they get it to the point where it's like an unspoken thing, right? You can just kind of feel that vibe, the aura, and then you just know that you're welcome there, yeah. I think, I mean, I've been thinking about it, right? It probably starts with the main person that runs the school, right? And also the other people that are
Right.
members there, right? I think I was listening to another person's podcast. Like if you go somewhere and you're greeted and handshakes and hugs and all that, versus you come in and no one looks at you, and everybody's off in their own little areas and they don't even talk
Exactly.
to you. I mean, it's hard to imagine that you'd stick around. Yeah,
Exactly.
I guess I don't know. I guess some of it too. I mean, like in Hawaii, right? It's like the aloha spirit that a lot of us are raised to, you know, be friendly, be welcoming, and that's part of our culture here. So I think we're fortunate in a lot of ways to have that as part of our
Right.
upbringing. Yeah, just to care about each other.
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe that.
yeah. So, you know, jujitsu has been a big part of your life for the last 15 plus
Right.
years, right? And I know you mentioned that it helped you through this stage of your life of what you're going through. Have you ever thought about what it would be like if you didn't have this support group to help you through this difficult time of your life?
I don't know. I just can't think about it because of I'm surrounded by mostly jujitsu people. I do have a hiking group that, we build a great friendship of many years, and, you know, they surround me with their love as well. But I think without jujitsu, I don't know. It's because I'm very active in it still yet, as opposed to hiking. But jujitsu, I don't know. It's just the amount of people that are there and such different people, but all with the same heart, and I feel so good when I'm there. Like, I don't know what I would do without jujitsu. It's like my medicine. The people that are my medicine, the mats are my medicine. Joey is my medicine. He's always making sure that I'm okay. Every time, Tita, you okay? He always wants to make sure I'm okay. I love him to death because he's so good to me. And, you know, the respect he gives me is just amazing. I don't know. I think that whole concoction is my medicine to continue with my journey and push through.
I think we talked about this in the first episode that you're a sponsored athlete.
I gotta laugh from that. I'm amazed that, somebody wants to sponsor an old lady. It makes me laugh because I don't compete. I don't know. I'm thinking in my head that once this port is out and I can train really well, I don't know. I just might take a chance and hit one of those, tournaments as gung ho and just see where I'm at. I don't know. I just have that itch in me for some reason. But I just think it's funny that, I'm blessed that they ask me to sponsor their product, and I think it's so cute that they ask an old lady. I mean, I try my best to get their products out, but the world of media, I'm not that great on it, to be honest with you. I'm like not literate in all this media stuff. When I was teaching school, we had a computer and all it had on it was report cards. And so I didn't have to deal with all this big media stuff. And so it's a little challenging for me. I'm trying to get used to it. But, I do thank them for sponsoring me. And I do thank all the people who've actually donated stuff to me, like Everyday Jiu Jitsu. He's such a great guy, him and Todd, who also is battling cancer. Please keep him in your prayers. He's such a great guy battling cancer, yet he's trying to get to his school. He's helping other people promote their products. He's amazing. He is amazing. He's an inspiration to me because, his battle I think, is tougher than my battle. And I pray for him all the time. And, I pray that he gets complete healing because he's such a good guy. He's so giving and so caring. And, for him to even reach out to me and ask me how I'm doing and, oh, let me get you a shirt, and just stuff like that. I'm just so blessed to have people like that. I mean, I got so much people who had donated shirts to me and, they're not asking me for a shout out, but, they just want to give something to make them, to make me feel good and make them feel good, that they were part of it, my journey. So I'm blessed to have that.
Yeah, so that social media aspect, right? So that's where there's people like me. I know you've said you've done other interviews as well to share your story, right? The companies that sponsor people, they're not necessarily always looking for the champion, right? They're looking for people with good spirit, good heart, have a good story to tell, yeah. And I think you fit all those categories. So, you know, don't say like, oh, why they sponsor this old lady? I mean, there's a lot more
That's
to
the
it
same
than
thing I
what
told
people see on the outside. Yeah.
Nolan, who interviewed me for here in Hawaii. In fact, I'm gonna be on OKC, 16, which I was laughing at that part too when he he told me about my sponsors and stuff, I had to laugh because I just thought, it's funny. And he's like, no, you should be proud that you're sponsored. People care and, are inspired by your story because not many people even get on the mat and they're 100% well. But you, like, you're getting cancer treatments and yet you're back on the mat doing what you can. He's like, that's a big inspiration, even for myself, he said. So I think I'm kind of getting him to maybe start going back to jujitsu. Might see Nolan on the mat,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, again, even me, right? We're the
right?
same age, so I try to inspire people by doing jujitsu and try to keep competing and, just, just being ourselves, right? Sharing our wisdom of 60 plus years on this
Yep.
earth, right? Yeah. So I mean, aside from the obvious things about, like when you're through your treatments and stuff, you can't go to jujitsu, but how has it kind of changed the mindset of how you train and what you're training and what you're trying to achieve in jujitsu once you got diagnosed?
You know, at first, when they put the port in and they gave me the news that I can't train at all, I was like, you know, kind of like taken back a little bit and kind of depressed a little bit. Even if you're strong, but when setbacks like that of something you're passionate about and love doing, you know, it kind of makes you think like, wow, what I got to live for if I can't do something that I love and passionate about and, able to see my friends and they make me feel good. And so when he told me that at first, I thought about it and I thought to myself, wait a minute, I can still go. I can still kind of help and walk around and I can do some of the drills. I kind of tweaked it and made my mindset, feel that I'm a part of it no matter what. Even if I'm not doing what exactly I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm there and I'm doing what I can do. And, you know, um, rolling is such a great way to relieve stress, and being unable to roll, which just gets to my soul. But I do tend to roll with people who I do ask to be careful about my port. But I need that. I need the rolling at least one or two times. I need that, get out my stress. That's the only medicine that really takes my stress out. And by not being able to roll, it just not worth me even going. That's how I feel. But now that I changed my mindset in going and just doing what I can and asking uh, the people I trust if I can roll with them, and then they can give me a good roll, at least give me at least 60% so that I can get in a good roll and feel good when I get done. So it was hard at the beginning, but I've learned to adjust it. And my doctor has asked me if I've been training, and I told him, yeah. I said, I've been training. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't be off the mat, because would you rather have somebody depressed or would you have somebody happy and living their life? And he's like, well, just be careful, but do what you feel you can do. I said, that's exactly what I'm doing.
You bring up an interesting point, right, about being involved in jujitsu, right? So, I mean, when you start your jujitsu journey, it's like, I want to train, I want to go to practice, I want to learn the technique, I want to roll. But as we move further along, especially like your black belt, right now, it becomes a little bit more about helping others. At least that's the way I feel. Like, I still want to improve, but I think I can still stay involved in jujitsu beyond just me actually rolling and learning myself, that I can become a
Yep.
mentor of sorts to others, right? The beginners. So yeah, I'm still involved. I don't know, it's going to be as satisfying if I can't roll at all, right? Like to
Yeah.
your point, right? You need that, I don't know, that blood
Yeah.
flowing, that interaction, the problem solving, all of that things going on at 100
Right.
miles an hour. Even though you're not going hard, your brain's still moving
Right.
quickly, right? So it's forcing you to think, right, and to push through those things. So I think that's an important aspect. But to your point about the people you trust, right? I think that's a big thing for even people that are like just older in general to be smart about who they train with and how they train. Yeah, avoid injury.
especially at this time in our lives.
Because
You know, you don't want to injure yourself. It's not
yeah,
worth it. We're prone to injury now at our age. So, if we don't train safe or be selective, no offense to anybody if we don't want to roll with you. It's just we got to be take care of ourselves. We got to look for ourselves so that we have a longevity in jiu-jitsu. Because, I mean, at our age, we can get injured so fast that, the next minute we're off the mat for a long time and hard to recover.
you hit the nail on the head. That's what I talk a lot about is longevity, especially when people I interview like 50s, late
Right.
40s. It's about longevity. Yeah, you wanna do good in class, and yeah, it's cool when you get the sweep or you do the pass or you get a submission. But at the end of the day, you want to come back, be able to train tomorrow or the next day, right? You don't want to be laid up with injury
Exactly.
or your body's so sore because you
Yeah.
went so hard, right?
Or somebody went so hard on you.
I think. Hmm. Hmm. So what kind of keeps you pushing through this, right? I know, like we just talked, you had some struggles recently. You went through some, you're not feeling at your top shape, but what keeps you pushing through this? What keeps you physically, maybe not physically, but mentally strong as you go through this challenge?
It's probably my husband because of the fact that I have to show that every day is a great day. You know, uh, no matter what, I have a smile on my face when I look at him, so he looks at me and he smiles. Sorry, it's kind of hard to take care of somebody that was so strong and so healthy, and to see them deteriorate, and especially if it's your husband. And I got my mom going down too, and but seeing my husband and just, you know, I push him to play pickleball. Some days I'm feeling sick, but I push him every day. He's out there playing pickleball. I get him to go. You know, some days I feel sick. I just sit there and watch him play. But just for him to get out and be active and socialize with other people so he can stimulate his cognitive part of his brain, and get his body moving so he can stay healthy because he's 71, and if I don't do that for him, then he's gonna go downhill really fast, and I can't see that. And I need to do all I can for him, and I need to stay strong and smile. So every day, even if I feel so shitty, I just smile. I look at him, I smile, and I think, oh, you know Lord, just give me strength to smile each day to keep him happy and keep him going.
That's, I mean, that's so selfless that you would put others in front of yourself. I mean, it would be easy for most people to be throwing themselves a pity party and just trying to, not be helping others or, so caught up in your own world. But as bad as a situation, as challenging as your health situation is, you're still putting people in front of you. I mean, that to me speaks volumes of your character and what you're made of and what you're about. I respect you a
Thank
lot
you.
for that, and it's
It's
not an
not.
easy thing. Yeah, it's not an easy
Yeah,
thing.
it's not.
It's really not. My mom had a bout with cancer, and she went through chemo, and she's a little obviously older than you, but I could see that chemo is devastating. It's not like, oh yeah, okay, take an Advil and then get up and you're fine. I mean, you cannot eat. You're just tired. I mean, I can't even imagine how you can push yourself through that, right? It's just I guess, like you said, the caring spirit you have for
Mm,
your husband and I mean, you are a teacher, right? So anybody who's a teacher has a passion for helping others. That's just ingrained in you.
yeah,
So again, I have so much
thank you.
respect for you from that standpoint. Yeah. What's your what gives you what's your passion? What makes you passionate in your life at this stage?
What makes me passionate? Obviously, jujitsu. but also being able to, still do things with my husband, play pickleball, go to the beach, watch him surf, you know, um, just things like that, seeing my granddaughter grow, uh, watching her, you know, my son sends me videos of her doing jujitsu, and it cracks me up because she's like really want to take out some people, and she just cracks me up because when they tell her go, she goes. Like, no chance for her. She just goes. And it's funny because she takes down a lot of the boys, and then they're like looking at their parents like, what do I do now? What do I do now? And I just so crack up. My son sends me the videos and I crack up on the videos because, she's 4 and she's always telling me, Grandma, I want to be tough like you. I want to take out the boys. And it's so funny because her opponents is always boys and she just loves it. She loves it. That I'm so passionate about watching her and I can't wait for her to get older so I can, help work with her, teach her. And, you know, another passion of mine is actually teaching the women's class at our Roots. You know, um, we're trying to build that program because it's a program where women can feel confident about themselves since it's an all women program and women instructors, they can feel confident. They don't have to feel embarrassed or, just do what they can, There's no criteria of you got to do this or you got to do that. You come, you don't feel like being on the mat. Main thing is show up. I rather have somebody come and show up than not come at all. And just by them making the effort to show up and try their best, I give them 100% for participation or just showing up. And my passion is just watching them learn, something that they can become passionate about later in the future. And, to me, those are the things I'm passionate about. I'm really sad that I had to leave my uh, kids class at the Y because of my health. But teaching people jujitsu is a passion. Teaching them knowledge. I think it's more rewarding teaching than it is winning a gold medal, because teaching people to do jujitsu and then watching them grow, you know, of what you're teaching them and seeing that your knowledge grow, it's just rewarding. It's the same as being a teacher in school, watching my kids grow with knowledge. It's so rewarding to me because, we're not there for a paycheck because we don't get paid much, but the rewards is just seeing your kids grow with knowledge that you came from you, that you instilled in them. And I think that's what mostly my passion is.
Yeah, because to your point about like teaching people, right, especially with jujitsu, I think at surface level they're learning jujitsu techniques, but it goes much deeper than that, right? Resilience, humility,
It does.
respect. There's a lot of things tied to it in martial arts in general, but being able to help somebody achieve those levels or increase their levels of those areas is very
It
rewarding.
is. It,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah. And to your point about the women showing up, right? I just interviewed somebody that talked about the most difficult thing with any martial art is stepping
Yep.
through the door just to get started, right? It's intimidating, especially if you don't know anyone. If you go with your friend, it's a
True.
little easier. If someone there, somebody that's already there. But if you're fresh off the street trying to start
Oh
something,
yeah, it's
it's
rough.
hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard. So, like to your point about a women's only class with women-led instructors, it kind of eases it a little bit, yeah, to get women to just try it even
Yeah, I
to
I
get
feel like,
started.
you know, the women that step on the mat when it's an all women's class, I can see the happiness in them. Like they feel comfortable, they feel happy, and they laugh when they make mistakes, not feel embarrassed if they would be in a regular mixed class. They would be embarrassed that they couldn't do a roll or back roll or, just basic things like that. And I see that when they're there, like, even if they can't roll over, but just plopping down, they all crack up, and everybody laughs because it's funny, what's wrong with laughing? We're enjoying ourselves, and they're doing what they can, and you know what? As long as they try, that's all that matters. Really, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I wish more women would try it,
And I think
I know not every academy has an all women's program where women teach. And, I'm inviting anyone who hears this that's a woman, come. Come to Roots, 5:30 Fridays, you know, come celebrate with us. We enjoy everybody, we welcome anyone, there's no politics. You come, you want to learn, we start with basics, we just move on from there because a lot of us didn't start with basics when we jumped in. So this is a perfect class for whoever wants to go back step and learn basic moves. It's great because basically jiu-jitsu all stems from the basic moves. Anything you do, it just stems from it. It just grows from it. So, just being with a bunch of women, enjoying each other's company, laughing, and sharing with each other. Just women to women. It's so great. So I welcome them to come to Roots Fridays at 5:30. First class free. Check it out.
I think you hit on another key point that comes up frequently about it being fun, right? If jujitsu is not fun, no one's going to show up for it,
Oh yeah.
or you're not going to last very long doing it. But when you create an environment where it's laughter, fun, not super serious, not like, oh, I'm afraid to do something because I'm going to be embarrassed. When you create an environment like that, it's easier for people to show up like, oh, okay, whatever, and it's a happy
Exactly.
place, right? You go, just like for you, right? You go, you meet up with your friends. It's almost like a social
It
club with
is.
grappling, like
Hey,
rolling around and
you
a hangout,
you know
right?
you
That's
hit it on the nose. It is a social club for grappling. Exactly. And all women's.
yeah, and all women's, yeah. So you recently retired?
So I retired from regular teaching maybe 3 4 years ago, and then I got a part-time job at Mililani Y, which I was the preschool director, and then I was brought the jiu-jitsu program to the Mililani Y. Didn't have a jiu-jitsu program. So, I was really enjoying it, with the little people again. Maybe I wasn't in the classroom, but I would go check it out, but not so much as sitting with them and teaching, but I would get involved in the activities they were doing. And then teaching jujitsu to the kids on Thursdays. Um, but, like I said, cancer really ruined a lot of stuff for me because once my cancer got aggressive, my oncologist didn't want me around little people. He didn't want me with, you know, uh, basically with kids, I guess, because of the fact that kids carry a lot from
Mm,
school and, just basically pick up
right.
germs, little people. So, you know, um, it was hard for me to just leave. So my bosses are so good. They, put me on leave and said, hey, you know what? When you feel good, when you get better, come back. We'll give you back your position. We'll have somebody take over while you're gone. But unfortunately, nobody knows jujitsu, so that program had to stop. I mean, excuse me, stop. So, that's kind of broke my
Uh,
heart because those kids were just getting into it, and the parents is so supportive and just having to stop. But I did offer them to go to the academy I'm at. A couple of them did go. A couple of them, it's too far for them. So I get it. But I'm just grateful for the people at the Y because, I can always go back and get back what my position I was at and start the program again if I want. But, you know, this treatment hit me hard. I didn't realize how hard it hits. It's 7 hours, sometimes eight, and I'm there all day. And I didn't realize that the medication goes straight from the part into my jugular, by my main vein, and straight into my heart. So it takes a lot, and the medication is just constantly pumping through for that long of a time. And then, just the chemo medicine alone, it just ravishes you. You feel very like not yourself. You feel sick. You feel, I don't know, it feels like it's eating you inside out. But, I gotta do it. I mean, if I don't do it, I can't get better, and I need to get better because I have responsibilities, and
Right. Right.
I
Right.
don't put my cancer as a worry for me because I kind of tossed it to the side because of the responsibilities that I have. And I know God's got my back. So I already to God, like I said before in my interviews, that I gave my cancer to God. So what is his will is his will. And I just go by what his will is. And if it's his will that my time is up soon, then it's his will. I mean, I can be honest, I'm afraid, but what can I do? I have no control over it. So I gotta just let it ride, let it go, and give it to God. So that's what I've been doing. So I don't kind of like people ask me, oh, how's your treatment going? Are you worried about? I honestly, I said my treatment's going great. I'm not worried about my cancer. It's like on the back burner, and I don't even think about it because why should I? What can I do about it? I can't do anything. I just have to go with, like I said, with the flow. But just staying strong and being there, being present for my family. It's just my most important thing in my life right now.
Are there any life lessons that you got in this current phase of your life, this current season?
You know, actually being diagnosed and given a death sentence, it makes you really put life in perspective. And I've learned to not give a shit, if I can say that. Like I don't let anything get to me. I just like whatever, because I feel like I said before, I don't have control over it, so why am I going to worry over it? And whatever people think about me, that's up to them, you know. I don't care what people think about me actually. I live for me and for my family. I don't live for anybody else. And you know, people say, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You got cancer." Well, you know what? If I want to do it, I do it. I mean, it's none of their business to tell me what I can do and what I cannot do. Yeah, my doctor, it's his business, but I don't listen to him really because if I listened to everything he told me, then I would be sitting in this chair 24/7 making like 200 bead bracelets. I can't. I gotta keep going. And just by now, I started learning how to box. I took taking boxing from Coach Ange. She's kicking my butt and I love it. So I'm trying to learn new things. And, the more things I've learned, I've noticed that you're never too old to learn anything. That's what I've learned. You can learn
Mm.
anything at no matter what age you are. And as for a life lesson, I got one, a real good one in jiu-jitsu, and actually it was from Desi. One day I was training and I was so disgusted with myself because I was like exhausted. I couldn't finish the roll. I felt burnt out, and that was like the first couple weeks of my treatment. And I know I shouldn't have been there because my immune system was like compromised, but I was like, screw it. So I'm rolling and I'm feeling so discouraged because I'm like, shit, what is going on with my body? I don't like it. And, and I know how strong I am and what I can do. And I wasn't doing it. And I felt very discouraged. And so I went back and I sat down on this big black punching bag. And here comes this big guy, Desi, comes sit next to me and he goes, "What's the matter, sister?" I said, "No, nothing much." He goes, "No, something wrong." He said, "You look sad." I said, "Not really sad, more disgusted." He said, "With what?" I said, "With myself." I said, "I know what I can do, but I'm not doing what I can do, and it's mentally making me upset." And he said, "Sister, you know what?" He go, "You're worried about doing jujitsu at your age. He said, you need to not worry that the jiu-jitsu you did before is not the jiu-jitsu you're going to do now, he said. So whatever jiu-jitsu you did back when you're 48, he said, it's not the same jiu-jitsu now at 63. So what you need to do is do your jiu-jitsu at 63. He said, you don't got to prove nothing to anybody. You don't got to show anybody how good you are, or, prove anything to anybody. You did your time. You wearing your belt. You know, you put your time in. You do your jiu-jitsu at 63. Don't worry about 48. That's past already, he said. You know what? That hit me so hard, and I thought to myself, you know what? I gave him a big hug and I said, thank you so much. I needed to hear that because in my mind, I was doing jiu-jitsu at 48, and I didn't realize that my jiu-jitsu at 63 is not the 48 until he brought it to perspective. So that was a good life lesson for me.
That's some very that's some very wise
He's such
words.
a wise guy.
Uh,
Like he
I
puts
know a
on
lot
a
of
lot
times
of
people.
posts with such wise words, and I just love it. Even Kenny Kim, like he posts a lot of wise jujitsu words that just, in fact, Kenny Kim, he reached out to me too. And I'm like, he asked if he could share my story. And I was like, wow, Kenny Kim wants to share my story. I was like, of course, thank you so much. I'm honored. And he's like, I'm so motivated by you and I'm so inspired by you because, not many people are doing what you doing. And just keep pushing through, sister. He said, I got all these people going to be praying for you and going to help you, if you need help. So he's like, can I post, helping you out? You can post my GoFund page again. Because, medical bills does add up, and, I appreciate everybody's financial help, but it does deplete because the medical bills do add up. And, after a while, got living expenses, my husband with his medication and everything, it's just things add up, But I told him, if you want to, it's up to you. I thank you. I appreciate it. But I'm not posting it myself because, I know all my local family, friends, everyone, jiu-jitsu community has given me, and I'm just thankful for what they have given me. They've done a lot for me, honestly.
One thing that I've learned in my at this stage of my life, or that's become more important, is because I know there's only so many days left in my life, every moment that I can make some sort of memory, not only for myself, but for my loved one, that they can remember when I'm not here, I try to make it happen. It doesn't matter. It could be something as small as taking my granddaughter to the park, or, spending time with my mom, talking story about something she did at church, right? Anything that I can do to create a memory is what I'm focused on now, right? And it's part of the reason I do some of these videos too, right? Like people can look back on this thing 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even 30 years from now, hopefully if YouTube's still around, and they can look back at, oh yeah, my uncle did this, or, my grandma was this, or whatever, like these are precious times for all of us, and it's so fleeting. I mean, like your kids are all big, right? Now it's your grandchildren, your granddaughter you're
Yeah,
looking at. Same like me, my son's 26. The time just flies by so fast. My grandkids are like 10 and 8 already. I can't believe it. Time
it
just goes
does.
by
It
so
really
quickly,
does.
right?
But, people should not only try to make memories when they get older, they should try to start already. Because by the time you get older, all the people that you did love and wanted to make memories with are gone. So start now. If you're going to make memories,
You're
start
right.
now.
You're
Make it long lasting family memories.
you're absolute 100%. 100%. All right. I want to close this one out with a question to you about, your struggles, you're battling cancer. What kind of advice do you have for someone out there who may be in a similar boat as you, struggling, maybe challenged, maybe they don't have as good a support group as you have? What kind of words of advice can you give them?
I would say that, you know, try to build your mindset to be strong. I mean, it's not as easy as it says, as I say it, because not everybody's the same. But If you're battling something, you do need support. I mean, whether it's from church or just, praying to God or getting involved in something. And I think that would be the best advice is get yourself involved in something. It doesn't have to be jujitsu. It doesn't have to be, you know, whatever sport if you're not a sport person. Get involved in something that, you're passionate about or maybe want to start something new. Get involved in a group that is doing something that you would like to try something new because being with people and surrounded by good people that care about you really helps you get through the most toughest battles, honestly. You know, and I think just surrounding you with people like that every day makes life so much easier to get through your struggles. Whether it's cancer, mental illness, depression, I think you should get yourself involved, with some type of a group, a sport, uh, or church, just something to get yourself involved with a bunch of people that can surround you with good vibes and, like I said, celebrate you. You want friends there around you that celebrates you, not put you down, but celebrates who you are, and you give you that. It's like an inner medicine power that they give to you by just being there for you, supporting you, loving you, caring about you. It's such a medicine that can make you so strong that, you just keep thriving and pushing through because you want to keep going just because you want to go, keep going for them. So, my advice is if you're struggling from something, no matter what it is, get yourself involved in some type of a group, no matter what, because it matters who you surround yourself with as your support system. Don't do it alone. It's so hard to do it alone. I think if I didn't have my jiu-jitsu community or hiking or, someone or more family members that I have, I don't think I could do it alone. I think I would just have given up. So don't give up. Like get yourself involved in a group. That would be my advice.
Very, very wise words from a very wise
I
woman.
can be wise and sassy too.
All right, Lynn. I appreciate again you sharing your story with me
I appreciate
and
you asking
being
me.
part of our
That's
journey.
awesome. I so blessed to have met you and you being a part of my life.
Yeah, I think us old guys, we gotta stick together. Yeah,
Makuli. Like Mark says, the Makuli gang.
Makul. There you go, Makuli gang. All right, Lynn. I want you to take care. I'm continue to
Thank
pray
you.
for you, and I will see you again very
Yes,
soon.
for sure.
All
You
right,
too.
take
Take care.
care.